kickoff this evening. San Antonio FC welcoming in El Paso Locomotive here to Toyota Field. Now is your chance to enter the Ultra Flyaway Sweepstakes presented by Michelob Ultra. Free to enter, you can win an Ultra Flyaway trip for two, get 2 tickets to an away game, round-trip airfare, and hotel accommodations, all presented by Michelob Ultra. Go to sanantoniofc.com/flyaway. As we welcome you once again back upstairs to the broadcast booth with Coach Tim Hankinson. I'm Dan Weiss, and we also say hello to the third member of our broadcast team down on the field, Hayden Partain, joining us this evening. And Hayden, here's San Antonio FC as they now return after having not played in 20 days, their last match coming on August the 8th. What's the mindset of this team right now? Because of the COVID-19 scare, they haven't been able to train. They haven't been really getting their rhythm. What do you think the mindset of the team, their preparation is as they come into tonight's match with all the time missed?
Yeah, I mean, there's many factors that leading up to this game that are against San Antonio, but being a team that hasn't played in a couple of weeks, the guys are going to be super hungry. They're going to be excited. They're at home, not having the rhythm, like you said, that other teams might be in the middle of the season. They got to take a step back now, and they're going to be super anxious to play. They got the fan base behind them to play against a good side, El Paso.
So we get the player perspective from Hayden Partain. I want the coaching perspective from you, Coach. How do you prepare for a match like this, knowing that your rhythm and everything has been disrupted for the last 3 weeks?
Right. I mean, you can always train with intensity, but, the coach is dealing with also players that are not able to train because of the COVID that affected a number of players. You've got 2 new players that you're injecting into a starting lineup, adjusting the system, getting them comfortable with each other at the back. So coach has had a lot on his plate, but players, as Hayden said, they love to play. They're going to be excited, just like they're just finishing preseason, first game of the season. They want to get their teeth into it.
So let's take a look now at what has happened to the schedule. Now, we thought that SAFC had moved past really the toughest part of their schedule, but because of the back-to-back postponements, Coach, tonight begins a stretch of 7 matches in 21 days. They will have 2 matches per week between now and the 3rd week in September.
It's a fine balance. You got to find a lineup that's going to start winning for you. Unfortunately, the first 3 games starting tonight are home games, so you have a chance to build some momentum before the last 4 games that are on the road. And fortunately, we've had some success on the road, so we shouldn't fear that. It's just a matter of getting momentum going and getting that first 3 points under your belt.
Hayden, from a player perspective here, as you try to manage this 7 matches in 21 days, with all that travel, you still got to go to New York. You've still got to go to Sacramento. In fact, that's going to be in 1 week. You're going to be in New York on a Wednesday and Sacramento on a Saturday night. That's no easy feat for a player.
No, and looking at the schedule as a player, I mean, it's tough, but this club is built on a culture of finding no excuses and just finding a way to get the job done. Also a way that the team is going to get more time together rather than being in their own homes. So that's another thing to take in consideration. They can get close during those long road games.
Coach, I talked to Alan Marcina yesterday for about 20 minutes and, talking about El Paso, and he flat out said that this is the best team in USL Championship, and the record proves it. SAFC has seen them twice. What has stuck out for you about El Paso, watching them live and, of course, just watching them all season?
I think they've gone through the opposite of San Antonio. San Antonio has been plagued with injuries all season, never a consistent lineup, whereas El Paso always has the same group on the park. They have a set system from the very start that comes over from last year, playing a 4-4-2, but the midfield is shaped like a diamond, and teams have trouble playing against that. So they know who they are coming into the season, and that makes for consistent results.
I asked Alan Marcina about the diamond, and he actually said at times it could be a triple diamond because you got the diamond in the midfield, you got the diamond on the back end, and even the goalkeeper, Logan Ketterer, kind of figures into that diamond. He said that the way to beat El Paso is you have to take the ball away from them. They can't play with the ball. The problem is they're the best possession team in USL. That's a hard challenge to do, and when no other team in the league plays the diamond system, they're the only one. It's almost an entirely different game plan for an opposing coach.
It creates, as the diamond slides across the field, both defensively and offensively, it creates numerical advantages, whereas the system that we're playing is pretty much not as flexible during the flow of play. So it is a hard thing to adjust to, and they've made one big adjustment up top by adding Dylan Mayers like a second forward rather than a midfielder, and he knows how to get goals with Solniak, so it's a lot to take on for our defenders.
Hayden, you've seen El Paso here over the last couple of seasons. Give me your perspective playing against them. Why do they pose such a different threat than every other team in the Western Conference?
Well, you can see they're highly crafty, right? They're able to keep the ball, and their interchange is really flawless in the midfield. Alluding to the diamond, right? The one way that I think San Antonio can kind of exploit them is attack the wings, because if you're one of those side players in the midfield on the diamond, if you have to press out wide, that's really tiring, and over time that could be a hole that maybe they're able to find a gap there.
Well, SAFC and El Paso Locomotive here tonight after about a 45-minute weather delay are going to get underway, meeting for the third time this season. Locomotive has taken the first two meetings. They won here 2-1, coach, on July 28th, 1 month ago, and then just 10 days later in El Paso winning 2-0. What we talked about in the Open, this was a club that, we looked at, you mentioned, not really figuring in a lot of the higher end of the statistical categories, particularly from the offensive end. But in their 10-match unbeaten streak, they're 8-0-2 in their last 10 matches. They have outscored the opposition 20-6.
It's big-time numbers that they've built. Again, 6 categories, most points, most wins, fewest losses, highest passing accuracy, highest possession numbers. I mean, they're just doing it correctly in all areas of the game. So a big challenge tonight for sure.
And as you see Alan Marcina, as he gets set to obviously return from what's been the toughest adversity that his crew has faced at this point this season. And that's kind of even unbelievable to think about when you think about all the other adversity that they have faced in losing Santiago Patino to injury, losing PC to injury, Connor Maloney missing the first 12 matches of the season due to injury. It just seems to be one layer after another. They say adversity builds character. We're going to see that if that rings true for SAFC here for the rest of the season.
And we there's no question that you need roster adjustments as the season goes on. They're looking at their performance or their record and saying we have to do better. So you pull in a couple of defenders on loan like they have, but you've also given up Cuello, one of their best attacking midfielders that they've depended on all season to play with Gallegos. So it's a question of you've gained something, you've given up something. Let's see how it plays out.
So after a weather delay, we are ready for kick. San Antonio FC and El Paso Locomotive. That's coming up next here as we'll take a look at starting 11s and get this one going from Toyota Field. It's next here on Bally Sports.
At Toyota's national sales event, we don't just help you get the perfect vehicle. We're here to open new doors that lead to your road to greatness. Your journey starts at Toyota's national sales event.
During the national sales event, get $750 customer cash, or qualified lessees can lease the adventurous new 2021 RAV4 LE for only $239 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
You can't predict an emergency, but have you thought about planning for one? Like, where's my closest ER? Does it take my insurance? And what is it rated? Is it worth waiting for an emergency to figure things out? At Methodist Healthcare, we've got you covered with 12 highly rated hospital-based and neighborhood ERs near you and 5 more opening in the next few months. Rest assured, your safety is our top priority. At Methodist Healthcare, your family.
Welcome to the Cooking with the Spurs podcast.
Today's guest chef is Coyote, here to cook a meal.
Looks like Coyote sauteing some garlic, some onions, and some other stuff. That's a lot of smoke.
Does anyone else smell burnt fur?
Coyote should have just grabbed one of HEB's Meal Simple option.
Yeah, those tasty meals would be nice right about now.
When life gets crazy, keep it simple. HEB Meal Simple. Chef-inspired meals ready in minutes.
You all right there, buddy?
San Antonio FC Soccer is brought to you by Toyota. Go to buyatoyota.com or visit your local Toyota dealer today. The anthem here at Toyota Field as we get set for the return of San Antonio FC after missing their last 2 matches after covered individuals testing positive for COVID-19, but all players out of quarantine as we get set for tonight's match. Let's take a look at starting 11s, beginning with El Paso Locomotive, unbeaten in their last 10, 12-1-5. Their overall record sitting on a league-leading 41 points. And for San Antonio FC, let's take a look at the lineup here for Alan Marcina's club. And the 2 new center backs, Courtney Ford and Mitchell Tainer, will be paired with Jasser Kamiri. Nathan up top has been outstanding as he comes into tonight's match. He's got 7 goals in his last 17 shots. And San Antonio FC happy to be back and out on the field and playing as we're underway. Coach Tim Hankinson, Hayden Partain, our entire crew. I'm Dan Weiss. Thanks for joining us. Kickoff tonight, 8:16 p.m., so a 46-minute weather delay after thunderstorms rolled through Toyota Field in San Antonio about an hour prior to kickoff. An inch of rain that was dumped on the park, but the field looks great. Temperature is a rain-cooled 78 degrees as we begin kickoff tonight. Light breeze out of the east-southeast, 5 miles an hour. And we should play the rest of this match rain-free, Coach.
Yeah, very exciting to see PC back on the park tonight. He's been out for so much of the season with injuries, and I think statistically we've not lost when he's been in the lineup, so exciting to have him back.
4-0-2, to your point, in 6 matches that PC has played. The 27-year-old who appears in his 20th match all-time with San Antonio FC, has a goal this year as Courtney Ford makes his first touch, Coach. Courtney Ford, 25-year-old homegrown product of the Colorado Rapids, is on loan from Colorado. His last match, October 21st of 2018.
Well, you know, I will say that the atmosphere and intensity and quality that the Rapids from MLS train at every day, you know, he is, even though he's not been getting the full games or games at all for that length of time, he's still ready to play and anxious and ready to show the San Antonio fans and the coaching staff that he's going to be a valuable entity here.
Courtney Ford became the first homegrown Rapids product to start in his pro debut back in April of 2017. He scored his first goal that season. That season played in 20 of the Rapids matches. That was as a 21-year-old. Played collegiate soccer at the University of Denver. And San Antonio FC is fortunate to have him, as they've dealt with a lot of injuries on the back end. Axel Schubert, Jasser Kamiri have both missed multiple games because of injuries, both available to play tonight. Axel Schubert, ironically, was a teammate of Courtney Ford in Colorado for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, he's a Colorado kid, born and raised, and University of Denver really has produced a great collegiate Division I program, and a lot of players coming through that. I remember when I coached Colorado Rapids, we brought in Nat Borchers, who played quite a few years at Colorado Rapids and then on to Real Salt Lake, won a championship, and then really became the face of the Portland Timbers. So it's been quite a production line, and Ford's another example of that.
Meanwhile, for El Paso Locomotive, their lone blemish this season was a loss June 30th at RGV. Their 4 wins against 1 defeat, 3 draws on the road. Andrew Fox tonight in the starting 11 as he makes his 7th appearance after missing the first 12 matches this season with injury. Coach, what I looked at today, what I thought was an amazing stat, he is now the 7th Locomotive player, as Nathan tries to get forward on that delivery. But he's the 7th Locomotive player to appear in 50 matches for El Paso Locomotive, for a club that's only been around for 2+ seasons. San Antonio FC only has 1 player that fits that bill, Matt Cardoni.
Amazing, amazing. And Matt certainly has lived up to that. I mean, Matt is on the doorstep of becoming the all-time games leader for the club, so that's going to be an exciting day when that game rolls around.
Tonight is Matt Cardoni's 99th career appearance with the club, when you counter his now 95 USL matches, 3 Open Cup matches, and a postseason match under his belt as well. Last match, he passed Greg Cochran to take sole possession of the all-time USL games leader in SAFC history. But the next guy in terms of tenureship on the team, believe it or not, is Jose Gallegos. Tonight is his 45th match with San Antonio FC for the 19-year-old.
And he's so young. He's so young. That's great to see.
And you look at Gallegos, 2 goals, 2 assists in his 14 appearances this year.
You can see this diamond develop as the ball comes from side to side. They slide with it. I'll tell you, a very special player for El Paso that kind of is their anchor, their engine. Richie Ryan, the number 6, getting the ball right there, and he makes things tick. Such maturity and experience. Just doesn't make mistakes in that role, and that's great protection in front of the back 4 that they play. And then you got Velasquez on one side and Rebellion on the other of that diamond, and then Ross playing kind of at the point of that with Dylan and Mares and Solniak up top. It's quite a talented group.
You see that aggressive press for San Antonio FC. That has been the trademark of their club all year. Again, talking with Alan Marcina yesterday, he said, in truth, I've been pleased with the way we've executed our system. Maybe not executing our finish in a lot of games in terms of getting on the front end and on the attack, but the way we press, the way we play our style, that hasn't changed since opening night back on May the 1st, with the exception of maybe one game, and expects that obviously to continue for the duration of the season.
Well, I think you and I have said over and over, game by game, that they played decently tonight, but it was the execution. They're getting shots. That's not been a problem for them, but their accuracy to put the shot on frame or to finish the chance has been really the difference in their results this year.
Velasquez in the middle of the park, former Real Salt Lake homegrown product. Back to Richie Ryan. And Brian Rebellion trying to get forward. Cam Lindley and PC once again sitting as the holding midfielders tonight, although Cam Lindley has become maybe more of an offensive threat than we anticipated. Begins the night still tied for 6th in the USL in chances created with 38.
Yeah, he kind of is listed as that defensive midfielder, that link man, but he's brought a lot more than that this year and is really the creator of so many of the chances that our players have gotten.
Mentioned Courtney Ford, he's got the ball, and he hands it over to the new center back as well, Mitchell Tainer, who's a familiar face. Tainer appeared in 15 matches with SAFC last year before signing back with Sacramento, his former club in the offseason, and acquired on loan from Sacramento with Emil Cuello, the midfielder, going the other way to Republic.
Well, and he's a great character player, great addition this time of the season because it's not going to take him long to fit back in and be accepted, embraced by his new teammates. And I love him because his grandfather and I coached against each other in the 1981 National Championship when his grandfather coached UConn, and it's been fun sharing a few stories with him about what it was like to coach against his grandfather. Great pedigree.
Of course, you think about last season, SAFC was so consistent on the back line with Tainer, Yarrow, Connor Maloney. And this year they just haven't had that consistency from their back 4, back 5, depending on how they play it. And so Alan Marcina using the opportunity to try to improve his personnel, to try to find something here in the second half of the regular season.
Ideally when you're building a roster, you'd like to have 2 fairly equal quality players at every position. So if one goes down with an injury, the other one steps back in and you don't have to change your system, your tactics, and you don't miss a beat. And unfortunately, with these rosters in the USL Championship, it's not always possible. I'd say El Paso's pretty close to that. But San Antonio's had a bit of a struggle that when a defender goes down, which has happened often, we really just don't have that instant replacement player to maintain the level of play.
And to that point, Mark Lowry was asked about players starting and coming off the bench for his El Paso club earlier this week, and he said, to us it doesn't matter whether you start, whether you come off the bench. We expect you to come in and impact the game and help us win. And that's what I think has made them so special this year. They have a weapon at every single position. As you take a look at the third-year head coach who has racked up 34 wins in his 3 seasons in El Paso against just 14 losses and 21 draws.
He's done an outstanding job, and the 2 rosters are quite different from each other because this year, even though San Antonio had an outstanding year last year, despite the playoff loss, lineup changed, the roster changed over. I remember the first few games of the season. There were 9 new players in the starting 11, whereas El Paso really has a played-in group that is really identical to the exact same group they played last year. So that consistency, and when you're not facing too many injuries, it leads to a lot of victories.
And the first go there coming from the right foot of Dylan Maris is wide.
Yeah, Dylan's dangerous. You know, he's playing underneath Solniak in the attack to get on the ball in that pocket that sometimes center backs can't get to. And it's very typical of his style to beat the first man, but as he approaches the 18, as we saw there, that's when he releases a very dangerous, powerful shot.
Dylan Maris came on as a second-half substitute, if you remember, Coach, in the game here on July 28th. Diego Luna started that night. He's on the bench this evening. So, again, just goes back to your point. You got a young player in Luna who's up for Young Player of the Year right now in the USL, the 17-year-old rookie who's got 5 goals in 17 matches and has been as dynamic as Soliniak up top of the forward position tonight. He starts on the bench. Maris gets the nod up top.
Well, you know, it's very easy to come off the bench or be replacing a player due to an injury when the consistency of your tactical system and the responsibilities you hold at each position is spelled out and practiced every day over a couple of year period, so that the reserves aren't coming in trying to figure it out. They know exactly what their expectations are when they come in at the right side of the diamond or the left side or the top of the diamond. So everyone is very replaceable and therefore consistent in what they bring when they enter the field.
San Antonio testing that back line for El Paso early, but you can already see a little bit off on a couple of their runs in terms of service delivery, and again trying to interweave 2 new center backs into the lineup too tonight. You expect there to be some rust and some miscommunication that will probably take maybe 20 to 30 minutes to get through.
Well, and as I pointed out, Dylan Maris is playing underneath. He finds this pocket behind Lindley and PC, between the midfielders and the defenders, and that means he can get a ball and turn and run at the defense, and it's really going to come down to the 3 center backs deciding who's going to go in there and get him and deal with him before he can get too much started.
As Logan Ketterer gets set to get rid of this one. Ketterer started all but 1 match this year. Actually started all but 3 matches this year for Locomotive. 27-year-old was formerly taken by the Columbus Crew in the 4th round of the 2017 draft. Player taken in the 3rd round of that same draft, Coach, Connor Maloney for SAFC.
There you go.
Velasquez as he makes the turn. Working with Nick Ross. Velasquez with the back. Maris trying to open up. Played well there by Cam Lindley.
El Paso's doing a very good job of, even though they get disrupted and lose possession for a moment, they win it back right away. That kind of counter press approach makes it difficult for San Antonio to get their possession going after winning a ball.
And this is chipped in and sent over goal again by Maris inside the box, but worked well around that, again, final third almost diamond as they played it around, and Dylan Maris there for the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Dylan typically in the diamond system has played on the left side of the diamond more as a midfielder. And this is a change that El Paso has made in the last couple of weeks to get Dylan into the attack more with fewer defensive responsibilities and more of an opportunity to freelance and find the freedom in the attack to go get a goal.
He was the USL's leading playmaker a year ago in terms of chances created, and that has not, to your point, necessarily been his role this year, despite the fact he does have 4 goals. As San Antonio FC gets on the counter here following a miscue.
But I think in this role, this kind of new shape of how to play with a second forward, he's going to be brilliant at that, and I think he's going to end up getting many more, very dangerous chances, and we'll see more goals coming from him. Hopefully not tonight, but as the rest of the season moves on.
Yuma, the 35-year-old captain in his 10th season from Madrid, Spain. Demishak Jerome, the Haitian national. Maka King, who we did not see a month ago, was dealing with a bit of an injury, but he's dynamic out on the right side opposite the Englishman Andrew Fox, who's over there on the left touchline.
Yeah, Yuma's an interesting player because he started with Rayo Vallecano in the Spanish division, and then Rayo Vallecano ended up buying a USL franchise in Oklahoma City and brought him over to be on their roster and one of their players. And even though that club ended up folding, he has continued to find a contract in this league and has done very well as a senior experienced player at the back.
El Paso trying to pick out the spaces here in the opening quarter hour. They've had SAFC bending a little bit on the back end. You see SAFC is back in that 3-4-3 formation, Coach. I mean, you can see it beautifully right here as we take a look at it. Something that really was a trademark for them last year. And now with three capable center backs, Courtney Ford, Kamiri, and Tainer, you figure that's probably where they're going to try to find their success in terms of formation again for the rest of the season.
I think so. It certainly should give you plenty of attacking opportunities with those three up top. All are dynamic players in Gallegos, not Nathan and Epps. And I think that you can play with three at the back, knowing that you have the security of Lindley and PC sitting in front of that, controlling the possession and build-up.
You got Chris Lemma starting on the left side tonight, opposite of Connor Maloney, and then Sam Gleedle also in that mix too. Gleedle tonight does not start for the first time, does not play at least to start for the first time this season. Set piece opportunity with Lindley over the ball. As he bends this one in, it's headed down, but right to Ketterer.
That's just a great service. Found that sweet spot just behind their recovering defense. And we get to it first. We elevate. We just need more accuracy, more power to beat that keeper. But a very good free kick.
Nathan on quite the run since the beginning of July. He did not score in his first 10 matches. Now 7 goals. As we take a look once again at the service here. And Nathan just ahead of Mitchell Tainer running in, heading that one down. You know, I went and looked at his numbers from the first 10 matches of the season. Only 14 total shots, 6 of which were on target. In his last 6 matches, 17 shots, 11 of which have been on target, 7 which have found the back of the net.
Well, I mean, I have to admit, sometimes as a coach, as a color commentator, you make a statement, and you have to kind of eat your words. You know, as I didn't feel like Nathan showed that he was ready to be a scorer, and he has come on so strong. And you made the point, the Mexican exhibition games seemed to be when he came to life and got the green light to go be a scorer, and he's continued that run. And hopefully we see some of his runs through the channels tonight, because they're dangerous once he gets started.
Only 22 years of age. He was nominated for midseason Young Player of the Year in the USL as he joins Jose Gallegos and Christian Pirano for that honor as well in the last 2 seasons too. So of course, Pirano winning Young Player of the Year award 2 seasons ago in the USL Championship.
And I think it says something very exciting about, you know, San Antonio's approach. If you can keep every year getting players nominated that are for best young player, it means you're doing something right and the future's bright.
SAFC starting to settle in a little bit as Lemma lets it ride off him and kept alive by Gallegos. See how San Antonio FC attacks the diamond pulling back here.
Yeah, well, Hayden mentioned, you know, it's about getting in the wide areas, and I think we're doing a decent job trying to get in the wide areas, but we're just not moving once we get there quickly enough. I mean, you've got to go wide, and you've got to accelerate and get the overlaps and the penetration right off your first touches, because if you walk through that process, then El Paso's midfield diamond will walk over and close that area up. So we have to just do these things quicker, a little bit with greater urgency, and then hopefully we can find some advantages.
Saw the handball against Gallegos. Center referee tonight is Ricardo Fierro, working along with Ricardo Ocampo, Samuel Zamora, our 4th official, Sergio Santana, for this match this evening. Canessa AFC hand Locomotive just their second loss this season. And on the other side, Canessa AFC win for the 5th time in their last 7 matches.
Well, as we said in the pregame, you know, when you've got 7 games in 21 games, for the coaches, it's going to be about managing legs, making sure this team stays fresh, especially when you get into that last 4. They're all on the road. But, you know, this group, I mean, this is the time. You've got to build momentum in the first 3 home games of that 7-game stretch. And if you don't, then it's kind of a rough road the rest of the way. So hopefully tonight we get off to that first 3-point win.
Almost saw Lucho Soliniak duplicate that side heel flick that he scored in El Paso's 3-1 win last Saturday night against RGV. RGV has really fallen on tough times. You've seen in our standings, even losing to San Antonio FC was kind of at the beginning of their swoon, but they're hanging on right now.
Well, you know, Dan, I think a season is like a marathon. You're going to either get off to a slow start and then pick up your game. You might finish with a slow start, which is not good because that's playoff time. You want to be peaking. But it's fairly typical to see some teams in the middle third of the season, in the heat of the summer, suddenly, you know, take a dip in their results. And that's exactly what RGV has done. Unfortunately, El Paso's not found that moment, and they just don't look like they're going to slow down.
Tainer volleys it over to PC. And a good build-up for San Antonio. Connor Maloney opening up out wide on the right flank. Going to force that one inside, and PC floats a somewhat dangerous ball that Ketterer has to backpedal on and knock down.
But that was a better wide attack. I mean, we switched it to the right side, and we went forward quickly. And even though the end result didn't work out, we got penetration, we got outside their box, and that puts you in a position to get a final service and a scoring opportunity. So more attacks like that, quicker in the flanks, we can create good chances tonight.
PC with a volley, Maris and Lindley returning to Matt Cardoni.
Well, I mean, PC doesn't look like he's been out for a month. You know, he's just such a good player that he can not touch the ball for 2 months, and he looks like he's never missed a touch. You know, he's just so outstanding technically.
Well, he came back from the first go-round of the injury against New Mexico last month, and once again went down in the first half, and then missed the following 3 matches for San Antonio FC after going down against New Mexico. So it's been a season of stops and starts for PC, but hopefully that has come to an end tonight. Alan Marcina has told us he's not at full health. He's going to play the first half this evening. Likely to see Mohamed Abu in the second half, and we'll see how the game develops. But just getting 45 minutes out of PC, particularly at the start, that's beneficial just for the chemistry, the camaraderie of this club, and PC and Connor Maloney, 2 of the leaders out there here trying to pull San Antonio FC back above the playoff line.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very, very challenging. It's one of the most difficult things in sport is knowing when a player is ready to come back into a game off an injury. And, you know, the coaching staff through their analytics, the medical staff, the fitness coaches, you know, getting a guy back when he's at 70% is still not enough to ensure that he's not going to re-injure. And so hopefully they've made a good judgment, and PC's ready to get through this first half without further injury and should be that much stronger in following matches.
Andrew Fox shown a yellow here in the 24th minute for his challenge on Gallegos. And he'll set up a set-piece opportunity. Here's the challenge from the 28-year-old Andrew Fox. He's shown his first caution of the season here. And from an angle, almost a short corner here for San Antonio, trying to break through.
This is a dangerous angle because even though you don't see much face of the goal, you're so close to the goal mouth that ball comes whipping in, and you know, for defenders, you know, just thinking, I don't want an own goal. I don't want to take a bad touch here. So it's challenging.
Lindley gives it a go off the crossbar and over goal. A cheeky little play, though, for San Antonio FC. Kind of fooled the entire El Paso back end. And Lindley with a good strike.
Very hard to keep that ball underneath the bar. He did a good job controlling it, not letting it get away from him. It's well done. And certainly caught El Paso by surprise.
To your point, I think probably trying to prevent an own goal on a hard service whipped in. That had him pulling back to open things up for Lindley. Here's Seliniak. Stops on a dime on Kamiri. Maka King switching the play, Velasquez. And great patience from Richie Ryan. Fox, Velasquez.
I'll tell you, they're so good at winning the ball back. You know, I think San Antonio has done a good job trying to get in on a tackle, create that loose ball, but we're not winning that second ball quickly enough. And it's giving El Paso a chance to regain possession and rebuild their attack.
Maka King with the service into the area.
Someone's down. There's PC down. Not what we want to see.
PC will get back to his feet as you see the players, they're drenched. I said 79 degrees, Coach, but about as humid as you could get after all the rain came through here prior to the match. New points in the 70s, so it's a night where even though the air temperature may not be 100 degrees, the players are going to certainly feel it. Again, especially if you're San Antonio FC, who has not developed a lot of game minutes here over the last 20 days.
2 weeks without a game definitely throws your rhythm and your body as far as its readiness to meet the demands of the physical play, the up and down, the cutting. It's hard to replicate, and it's going to take a couple of games for them to kind of get back into that rhythm.
You saw the flags a moment ago. They are not moving. So not only is it a dense, sticky night, but there's no breeze either. So I mean that air is just sticking to you. And
yeah, it's a bit smothering.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, if you train and play in San Antonio, you train and play in El Paso, really it's a wash. I mean, both teams are used to these kind of conditions.
Ketterer handles that bid from Marcus Epps easily.
It's a good strike by Epps. Got that left foot going. And that's the advantage when you're a left-footed player. He normally plays on the right side, but now he's playing a little bit on the left, cutting in. Able to get a great shot off.
King steps in front of Nathan that time. Maka King. Epps. Gallegos. Into the box. And the force went through. PC skies this one. High into the area as it's headed along by Fox, and outside the box, Connor Maloney will take it. Service back in, and Maka King to it first.
It's a great sequence right now by San Antonio. We just need to find a way to capitalize on this. Good possession in their half. Getting shots off, first by Epps and Lindley on the free kick. I mean, we've created some good attacks here. Just need to capitalize.
Once again, it's Epps outside the area. Return ball dilemma. PC. Lindley over to Connor Maloney. Heavy touch, gets it back. Not necessarily Connor Maloney's forte there.
You know, and that's always a tough one, getting players to understand their limitations, that it's not always your job to take that shot when it may be your job to win the ball and get it to the player who has a better, higher percentage of shooting. And so you're disciplined within a player's game. You feel like you've got the right to shoot it like anybody else. You've got to understand your limitations and play to the players who have a record of getting more success out of opportunities like that.
And just to even further prove that point, Connor Maloney only has 5 shots in 2 seasons in San Antonio. But it's been a good first half hour for the hosts. Level early with El Paso.
Well, and El Paso is just sitting back right now, being very patient, and it's giving us the opportunity to gain possession and move the ball around. That's going to help our confidence in playing against them, particularly as this half closes and getting into the second half. Possession builds confidence.
Locomotive, who is number 1 in possession in USL, 54%. Number 1 in passing accuracy, 85%. They have completed almost 7,500 passes through their first 18 matches of the season. San Antonio, in their 17 matches, they have completed 3,838 passes.
Big difference, isn't it?
Gallegos centering. Epps trying to cut it back.
Ooh.
Hits the deck. We play on.
Referee waving it on.
And Velasquez will go down.
Certainly like to see a replay of that tackle.
Ricardo Fierro hearing it from both sides.
I'm sorry, that's a penalty. Did not make contact with the ball and swept right through Epps' legs. Alan Marcina knows it.
And so too does PC as we continue on here. San Antonio FC has, because of their aggressiveness, been the beneficiary of 5 penalties already in their first 17 matches this season. And all those have come since beginning of July as possession conceded. Epps, edge of the box. Epps puts it into the back of the net. San Antonio FC on the board first and ahead 1-0 in the opening half.
That's really just classic. Epps lined up Jerome, the center back, to basically shield the vision of the keeper, and then just found a corner of the net. It's not really about beating the keeper, but the shielding of the keeper's sight line and being able to find that corner, just brilliantly taken.
After the turnover created in the middle of the field, it's Epps picking that perfect corner for his 3rd goal this season and his 15th career goal in USL Championship play.
A lot of you young players watching that, I mean, that is just a classic shielding, blinding the keeper, and not going to overpower the shot, just placement. A lot of players, if they don't beat the defender, they won't take that shot. And just lining them up, setting them up that way was just brilliance by Epps. Classic opportunity at goal.
11th time in 18 matches SAFC has opened the scoring. They've never lost when scoring first. 6 wins, 4 draws. El Paso, they've been in this position before, as early or as recently as last Saturday, down 1-0 against RGV, only to score the next 3.
Yeah, they keep their cool pretty well. They know they're capable of scoring multiple goals coming from this position, so they'll be patient and just very methodical and continue to do their work.
They give Jose Gallegos his 3rd assist this season.
That's great for him. We need, he is the most creative player in the final third for us, and you get quality play from Epps. Nathan is more of a slashing runner, but Gallegos, he's got to be our assist guy. He's got to beat a player, keep the head up, find that open man, and get more assists just like he did.
First lead San Antonio has had against El Paso in 3 meetings this year. Here's Velasquez. Soliniak. And hook that one over to Nick Ross. And instead conceded once again, Mishak Jerome. King Off his back heel to Ross, and again Richie Ryan. Good patience from Maris. Velasquez as Maris trying to make that run, instead Tainer back on the ball.
That's a good switch by Epps. Now look for penetration. Get Maloney overlapping, throwing that defender. Keep running at him.
There's Gallegos will find Connor Maloney out wide. Off of Yuma, lands back here to Gallegos. Goes down inside the area, and again, the penalty waved off.
Very surprising. I think the referee is not making the right call on that one. Certainly looked like his leg was clipped in the box.
Velasquez into the area, turning. Salignac did not find his target. As Cam Lindley has gone to ground here. And this one, coaches, we'll take a look again at Gallegos. Might have been more egregious than the first one when Epps went down. That's
a foul.
That's a foul. I mean, that's not on the ball.
No, that's a clear penalty.
That's a foul.
You might make the case that the contact with his left leg was right on the line.
Yep.
The referee could have easily have awarded a free kick from there and not gone for the penalty, but it was clearly a foul.
That's a foul, yeah. As Lindley gets attention.
Now watch where the contact takes place, right there. And so you could make a case it was right on the line. Not, he fell into the box, but the actual contact was on the line with his leg.
That's a big moment, too, because if you're San Antonio FC, it's unlikely that one's going to win you and take all 3 points in this one here tonight. You're probably going to need multiple goals the way that El Paso has been going here as of late.
But if you look at Epps' foul in the box that wasn't called, Gallegos' foul, one of those turns into a penalty and you're going to the locker room 2-0, you're in pretty good shape despite the fact you're playing against the #1 team in the league.
5 shots to 3 in favor of San Antonio in the early going, 3 of which have been on target for SAFC. Locomotive, no shots on target to this point. They hold possession 55-45 here. Does El Paso to start.
Yeah, I think, you know, El Paso's done a good job when they're in possession in the general build-up through the middle third of the field, keeping possession. But they really have not found that final pass to get a ball to Salignac, who's their goal scorer, as we know, certainly. And not enough with Dylan Mayers. And so they've got to do a better job in the final presentation in order to start scoring goals tonight.
Gallegos running on Maka King. And a foul awarded to Jose Gallegos. Alan Marcina says, where was that a minute ago?
Yeah, the fans are feeling it. Even up here in the press box, we can hear some fan yelling, it's a yellow, it's a yellow. And it probably is a yellow.
So Cam Lindley over the ball once again to set up here. SAFC, 4 set-piece goals this season. Has been a strong area for them. They scored off a set piece against El Paso with Axel Schuberg late in the second half. Cut into that 2-0 deficit.
Yeah, so El Paso has 2 zonal players, one near the goal and one right behind. He's got to make sure he clears those first 2 defenders, which unfortunately we didn't. But you've got to be able to clear those guys in order to get the ball deeper into the box where we have a chance to get on the end of it for a goal.
He had another shot there, did Cam Lindley, but he balloons that one over the byline. As we close in here on the end of the opening half, San Antonio FC getting out on their front foot tonight. Marcus Epps in the 32nd minute, opening the scoring with his third goal of the season, assisted by Jose Gallegos. Ryan back from Velasquez.
Ryan's just so in control of the midfield, flicking balls, chipping balls, switching sides, just making San Antonio have to adjust. And the problem is that one time that the adjustment isn't right is when El Paso's experience can create the chance that they need to tie this game.
Box to the back post, and that'll be off of Lemma. That'll be the first corner of the match awarded to El Paso. AFC has only conceded one goal off set pieces this year. They've been good defending corners this season.
Well, you know, we've had Soberg back there who's 6'7", and he's not there tonight, but our two new defenders, you know, they're both big, strong defenders, 6'1", very athletic. They can get up, and I think we've only strengthened ourselves in many ways by adding them.
Paso will play it short. Maris to the back post. As Mock King went down. And a counter run there for Nathan as we continue on. After Nathan got hauled down over there by the touchline. The King back in the action. Velasquez. He's upended by PC, will go into the books. 41st minute for PC. As he collects San Antonio FC's 53rd caution of the season. They begin the night 5th in the USL in cautions.
It's good to be in the top 5 in the category, right?
Top 5 in fouls conceded as well, and again, that's having not played in 20 days. They were closing in on Atlanta, the top spot in overall fouls conceded, but dropped back having not played for the last couple of weeks. Here's Maris.
Jerome is just so strong at the back. And, you know, you mentioned Maris just then. You know, Dylan is playing a withdrawn central second forward, but you look at where he's receiving the ball, he's always going to wide positions. It's really a completely free role for him to just get on the ball wherever the ball is building up from. He is a talented player. I mean, out of Indiana University, had many years with Indy 11, also many years in a championship at Miami FC, so he's at that prime in his career where he's the man on the ball and can make things happen.
Over aggressiveness there from Richie Ryan on Gallegos. San Antonio FC will reset. Jasser Kamiri. Lemma. Flicks it along. And Ross. Settle back here. Maris coming all the way back for the ball now.
Why don't they trust you with the ball?
A little sloppy from El Paso. They're trying to get out of their own third as they concede possession back. And again, this is what Alan Marcinez said. If you keep El Paso without the ball, you'll find success. As Epps turns it out to Connor Maloney. Maloney, service in, looking for Nathan. Oh, that took a deflection off of an El Paso defender, and Ketterer was fortunate to keep it out. And that's, I believe that's Dylan Maris who took the worst of it there. Oh no, it was Nick Ross rather. The shot off the side of the head. And again, good reactions from Ketterer, the keeper.
And they'll check on him once he gets to the sideline to make sure that there's no concussionary concerns. Because that was a point-blank shot right to the side of the head. But he looks like he's doing okay.
Come out momentarily for that check to make sure he is okay to continue. While the ball dropped back to Logan Ketterer. With SAFC looking to head into the locker room, maintaining the advantage. Rebellion. quiet tonight out on that wing as he gets to start in the spot that would usually be occupied by either Chapa Herrera or Jose Aguinaga. But tonight it's Rebellon who gets the spot out on the left side.
Yeah, there's a tendency that Lowry, when he plays this diamond, obviously Richie Ryan is the central defensive midfielder, but usually one side of the diamond will be more defensive, the other side more attacking, and Rebellion is really more of a defensive player out that side, I believe, just to give them balance, to make sure that Richie Ryan doesn't end up, all alone trying to defend the midfield.
Nathan Gallegos kicks it along and in as he looks for Epps crashing inside the area. Maka King. As we'll have 1 minute of added time here at the end of the first half.
Well, you got to be happy about the first half. They've defended well, not really given El Paso any real opportunities.
And again, I think that from a coaching standpoint, you simply just don't know what to expect, having not been able to have your normal weeks, have your normal trainings. You've been disrupted by something that's completely out of your control. Unless your coaches say you control the controllable. Well, as we've found out in this pandemic, this is uncontrollable. And so trying to manage that, I think Alan Marcina is going to be thrilled with this first 45 minutes.
I think you have to be. One of the problems after 2 weeks of no games, you can lose your sharpness, and it takes time to get sharpness back, and that has to do with your scoring, your quick passes and combinations. So, as you say, I think Coach Marcina's got to be happy with it.
Marcus Epps has the lone goal for San Antonio, his third of the season, coming in the 32nd minute. Set up by Jose Gallegos, and SAFC heads to the locker room up 1 over USL leading El Paso Locomotive. BC, good to have him back. We'll take the second half off tonight, but just good to have him out there managing things. Still a half soccer to go. Take a break. Our halftime comes up on the other side. SAFC up 1 here tonight on Bally Sports.
Hello, this is Cornell with Frost Bank.
Hi there, this is Terry with Frost.
Good evening, this is Franklin.
This is Robert with Frost.
Hello, this is Rosemary with Frost Bank.
You can't predict an emergency, but have you thought about planning for one? Like, where's my closest ER? Does it take my insurance? And what is it rated? Is it worth waiting for an emergency to figure things out? At Methodist Healthcare, we've got you covered, with 12 highly rated hospital-based and neighborhood ERs near you, and 5 more opening in the next few months. Rest assured, your safety is our top priority. At Methodist Healthcare, your family.
You got a fast one there.
Just can't get him to slow down.
This class will help with that.
We get it. You got it. We're PetSmart.
Texas is known for many things, yet one of the best kept secrets is where the steaks are hot and so are the slots. Down south along the border outside of Eagle Pass, the Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino Hotel, the best gaming experience in the Southwest, where getting lucky is more than a feeling, it's a way of life. Book now, LuckyEagleTexas.com.
first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
Diggy tees it up. What a strike! And what a goal! Hartford has a goal! And Lou City double their money! And how sweet the sound in Lynn Family Stadium! It's true for PC. Great save by Matt Cardoni. Gallegos to the back post. San Antonio FC back once again with a lead.
We have been helping thousands of small businesses, not only here in San Antonio, but across our footprint. Knowing that SWBC was our partner in our health benefits and all our employee benefits was a relief for me. I knew that we could continue to do our work, we could continue to do our mission, because SWBC had our back. I tell you, for a not-for-profit, we have an excellent benefit program.
At Raising Cane's, we know quality takes time, patience, and the best ingredients, which is why every chicken finger we serve is cooked to order just for you. We never take shortcuts, but that doesn't mean you can't. Introducing an even easier way to order Cane's with our new app. Find your closest restaurant, customize your meal, pay, and schedule pickup. So next time, take it easy and order with the Raising Cane's app.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
I can't even see the game.
Man, this TV's lame.
Oh! Hey guys, looks like your man cave could use a little man-hancing.
What?
You need a breakthrough with the low payment finder from Cons Home Plus. Turn this prehistoric fossil into this glorious monument to sports.
Whoa!
At the half, SAFC up 1 over El Paso Locomotive here tonight at Toyota Field after we got started a little bit tardy with a 45-minute weather delay. As we welcome you back upstairs to the broadcast booth, the coach Tim Hankinson and the third member of our team, Hayden Partain, down on the field. I'm Dan Weiss. Great to have you with us. Coach, it has not been an easy 20 days for Alan Marcina and San Antonio FC, but if you could have drawn up the way you wanted your first 45 minutes to go against the best team in USL Championship, I don't think you could have drawn it up any better than that.
No, the coaching staff has to be ecstatic right now because you don't know the sharpness that you've lost over those 2 weeks. And you have new players suddenly in the lineup tonight at the back, and their communication and organization. You know, you really wonder, is there going to be a mistake tonight as they get to know each other? And the fact that they really had a first half without fault, and to be going to the locker room with a goal lead against the top team in the league, they've got to be happy right now.
Let's take a look at the highlights from the first 45 minutes, and really all San Antonio so far here tonight, including the goal. A couple opportunities as well, too. For more, as you see, Marcus Epps was brought down inside the area by Maka King. Here's the giveaway in the middle of the park by Richie Ryan. Gallegos setting up Marcus Epps.
Yeah, Marcus Epps did an incredible job lining up Jerome, the defender, to shield, to basically blind the side of the keeper. And then it's not about power, it's just about placement. That was just a classic setup, and he executed it brilliantly.
His third goal of the season, and again an opportunity for SAFC to get even more here in the first half. But Jose Gallegos, right at the edge of the box, brought down there by Richie Ryan. No foul, we play on.
Yeah, there's no question that was a foul. Moments before, you had Epps in the center of the box. That was a foul. Could easily be a penalty call between those two opportunities. And, you know, if you were gifting 2-0 into the locker room at halftime, That's just a miracle start.
Take a look at the numbers there from the opening half of play. And from a possession standpoint, we figured El Paso would have the advantage. They do here. But from an attack standpoint, whereas El Paso has really gotten out on their front foot the last few weeks, it's SAFC that's been better on the attack so far tonight.
It is. I mean, the possession hour certainly is a very balanced game, which is important because if you go back, 5, 6, 10 games, the beginning of the season, our possession was not good. And really, if you look at statistically, whereas El Paso is number one in almost all our categories, passing accuracy is we happen to be in the last spot in the league. So the fact that we've shown that kind of improvement against an outstanding club like El Paso says, maybe this 2-week break was a regroup, and we're ready to play some pretty good football.
Okay, so based on talking to Alan Marcina, we expect PC to come out for the start of the second half. El Paso's been in this position before, again, his most recent is last week when they were down 1-0 against RGV. What do you expect from San Antonio here in the second half in what is not only a tough environment trying to come back and play, but also tough conditions tonight, too, with not much of a breeze. It's a dense air mass out there on the field this evening.
It is. And, again, after 2 weeks, you don't know how many of these players went through the COVID process that actually fell ill and are trying to work themselves through a game tonight. As a whole, not everyone was practicing together. You just really don't know what to expect out of a group tonight. But, when you haven't played a couple of games over a couple of week period, it's like that first game after preseason. You were excited, and here you are going against the top team in the league. And so that's an adrenaline rush that's carrying these guys tonight. I think you have to watch the last 25 minutes to see if maybe some of the effects of not having games over a 2-week period start to play into the fitness factor, and maybe it, using the bench at that point is going to be vital to finishing out and closing out this game.
Here's the upcoming schedule for San Antonio FC. 7 matches, including tonight, over the next 21 days. But as you see right there, that's a lot of travel between Salt Lake City and New York and Sacramento.
Well, I mean, and you look at those final 2 games. I mean, playing on the East Coast in New York and traveling the day after, giving you only 1 day in California of recovery before you have to go against Sacramento, again, another great team in the league. These first 3 games of the 7-game road trip, or 7-game in 21 days, is vital to get points because you just don't know how the road is going to treat you. Even though we've had some success on the road, it is an important stretch to come away with maximum points.
Well, 4 of those right here on Bally Sports, including the next one, September 1st, Wednesday night, coming up against Real Monarchs SLC. 1-0 San Antonio FC with the lead at the half as we roll along here on Bally Sports.
At Toyota's national sales event, we don't just help you get the perfect vehicle. We're here to open new doors that lead to your road to greatness. Your journey starts at Toyota's national sales event.
During the national sales event, get $750 customer cash, or qualified lessees can lease the adventurous new 2021 RAV4 LE for only $239 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
You can't predict an emergency, but have you thought about planning for one? Like, where's my closest ER? Does it take my insurance? And what is it rated? Is it worth waiting for an emergency to figure things out? At Methodist Healthcare, we've got you covered with 12 highly rated hospital-based and neighborhood ERs near you and 5 more opening in the next few months. Rest assured, your safety is our top priority. At Methodist Healthcare, your family.
Welcome to the Cooking with the Spurs podcast.
Today's guest chef is Coyote, here to cook a meal.
Looks like Coyote sauteing some garlic, some onions, and some other stuff. That's a lot of smoke.
Does anyone else smell burnt fur?
Coyote should have just grabbed one of HEB's Meal Simple option.
Yeah, those tasty meals would be nice right about now.
When life gets crazy, keep it simple. HEB Meal Simple. Chef-inspired meals ready in minutes.
You all right there, buddy?
San Antonio FC Soccer on Bally Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Go to buyatoyota.com or visit your local Toyota dealer today. Get set to kick things off here in the second half. San Antonio up 1 over El Paso Locomotive, along with the coach, Tim Hankinson. And our third member of our crew, Hayden Partain, down on the field. I'm Dan Weiss. Great to have you with us as SAFC and El Paso get set for the second half. What do you look to see out of El Paso here, Coach, in the second half tonight?
You know, they're so methodical. They're so confident in what they do, how they play the system. I don't expect them to come out over-urgent. I think they'll be patient and get through the first 20, 25 minutes and then assess what still needs to be done. And then you're going to see them, jump another gear.
Well, it's your opportunity right now to enter now to win the General Mills Bench Warmer of the game. Each winner will receive SAFC tickets and on-field access to watch the players warm up. Go to sanantoniofc.com and under the Fans tab, click on Bench Warmer. The deadline to enter is on October the 1st. As the clubs are back out on the field here, and we'll see Mohamed Abu get the start in the second half, as we were told from head coach Alan Marcina for PC, who would play just 45 minutes tonight because even though he's back, he's only back at about 80 to 85%. So 45 minutes for PC, and his night is done as Abu will come on here in the second half for his 6th appearance since joining the club back in early July. I mean, you think about, I know we're going to look back at the SAFC season. Hopefully it's going to be one that finishes with a long playoff run. We're going to kind of dissect turning moments in the year, and I'm going to look back at the 2 Mexican friendlies, really, because that's, of course, where Nathan got going, and that's when we were introduced to Mohamed Abu, who came on as a trialist, and in the absence of PC, he has proven with his experience to be very valuable to this club.
Yeah, he's very much a positional player. He knows his role as a defensive midfielder. His job is to sit in front of that pocket of the defense and make sure that he's winning balls off the opponent's feet and getting the game going the other way. And the minutes he's played, he's certainly proved he's capable of that. Great addition to the club. You never know about injuries. That's just one of those things you can't plan for, but you've got to have the depth at a good quality level to cover those things. And Abu, certainly with PC being out so much, has been a great addition in there for us.
Locomotive will get their second corner here to kick things off in the second half.
So every coach has to make decisions. Are you more man-to-man? Are you more zonal? Coach Marcina has the squad pretty much split. You see 3 players along the 6-yard line playing zonally. Everyone else is trying to pick up players further out to pick up their runs.
Ross, the in-swinger. Ball lands dangerously, and it's Velasquez with his left foot as he takes it off the ricochet there from Tainer, drives it over goal and into the seats.
I happen to be one that plays a little bit less zone because I feel like there are gaps between defenders that strikers can slip in between, but every coach has to find a way that suits their personnel, and that's how San Antonio likes to get it done, and it proved well there.
As Ross delivered that corner, not much of an aggressive push by El Paso, almost as if they were waiting for SAFC to make a mistake and trying to capitalize, as Velasquez got the opportunity before sending it over goal.
Well, I think that El Paso's played a lot of their games that way this year, where they don't beat themselves. They just hang around and wait for you to make a mistake and capitalize on it. But when you're a goal down like they are, you're going to have to bring a little bit more forward, make a stronger commitment in the attack, and can't rely on the opponent to do that for you.
Foul on Jasser Kamiri, Tunisian native who makes his 9th appearance this season for San Antonio, but along with Axel Schuberg, it's been off and on with injuries. It's the foul there on Velasquez. As Ryan and Maris get set up over the ball here. These 2 clubs will meet one final time later in October. As towards that back post, that ball delivered well. Matt Cardoni read it the whole time.
Matt did a great job reading that early and charging out, and that's such a relief when you have a keeper and you're a defender, knowing that your keeper is capable of coming out and taking those balls out of the air.
This Gallegos will get on the end of this one. Trying to find a seam, goes to ground, and will be awarded a foul. Gets bumped off there by Andrew Fox, already sitting on a yellow tonight in the opening half.
See, you know, that's a foul by Dylan Mares. Not playing the ball at all, playing into the body. And if you think about the fouls we've seen in the first half on Gallegos, this is, persistent infringement, where 3-4 fouls like that against the same player, and you've got to be pulling out the yellow card to let El Paso know that's not acceptable and not going to be tolerated anymore.
That service was cleared through the attack of center backs that had crept forward inside the box, trying to find a second goal for San Antonio, as now Yuma will play it over to Fox here. Fox.
You know, we're talking about the possession arrow and how it's been pretty equal over the course of the game, which means the game is well balanced, each team getting their fair share of time. But I think that despite El Paso has used most of their possession to build up in the middle third, San Antonio has done a much better job getting penetration, getting around the box, in the box, and looking to be more dangerous going to goal in their possession.
Well, I would say right off the bat, Lucho Saliniak hasn't touched the ball enough tonight, if you're Mark Lowry.
No question about it.
There's Rebellon toward the back post and punched away by Cardoni. Still a good delivery despite the fact that it was almost a solid 25 yards out.
Well, again, you know, just like Epps' goal, it wasn't about power, it's about placement, the little bending, trying to find that far corner.
Courtney Ford will clear that one out. Here's the opportunity by Ryan Rebellon, trying to get the visitors on the board.
It's a good save by Cardoni. You know, I think one of those maybe a better chance to catch the ball. You don't want to leave loose stuff around the 6 for a second opportunity, but you got to make the first save first.
First save he's had to make here tonight. Mishak Jerome over to Fox. Pressure from Connor Maloney. And that's again SAFC's MO. They will press you with or without the ball. Courtney Ford trying to climb the ladder there as it lands back over to Maris and Maka King. A little bit of running room here. Gonna speed his way around Lemma. Lemma able to release it. And the giveaway back to El Paso. And now daylight for Maris as he gives it a go, and that'll be another corner for Locomotive.
You know, this is where the coaching staff, as you're scouting your next opponent, you have to look for tendencies. And with Dylan, their number 10, again, beat the first player, always the shot from outside the 18, not inside the 18. And when you are working with your defenders that week, talking about matchups and tendencies, this is where when you see Dylan in that situation, you have to come charging out and get big and look to block.
We'll do it again, as Maloney was not fooled from Nick Ross that time. Or rather, Richie Ryan over at that far stick.
Yeah, and you look at Maloney on the far side of their box. He's got 2 players that he's dealing with. Ford's kind of aware of it and waiting to see if he's going to have to come help.
Courtney Ford will clear that one out. Yuma's over there to claim it. Here's Maka King now on the left side. I'll play it off Ford, and now this will be Nick Ross's time here on the near stick. Lindley looks like he got a shot off the head. Focus, boys, come on! We focus!
You know, you go through these protocols. Referee's job is to go over and have a conversation with the player before medical staff is invited on. See if the player can resume play without us having to stop the game. Or it's decided the referee calling the medical crew on to come and check him out to go through concussion-type protocols when a player takes a shot in the head like that.
Again, Ross, the in-swinger. Fourth corner for Locomotive. To the near post, headed on and in, and Locomotive with the equalizer. Cardoni got a piece of it, but didn't get enough of Velasquez's leveling goal. And early in the second half, the visitors from West Texas have evened it at 1.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We were just talking about the zonal defense on corner kicks, so let's see how the Velasquez snuck in there. And there he is. And, you have to look at San Antonio getting a little bit flat-footed there. So their player goes up, we get caught flat-footed, he gets to the ball first. And he's not the biggest guy on the park in comparison to our center back. So, that's one that they'll have to look at on film and do some correction work with this week.
Velasquez in his second stint with El Paso is with them in their inaugural campaign, scored 4 times in 16 matches. That's his second goal now in 11 matches since coming back, and his 27th goal all time in USL play. He was dynamite when he was a member of Real Monarchs SLC a few seasons ago. As we said, it was Locomotive who more aggressiveness coming out of the halftime locker room. Coach, that's the 5th goal SAFC has conceded in the opening quarter hour coming out of the locker room this year.
Those are the consistencies you don't want to have in your stats.
They did finally break that goose egg in Rio Grande Valley as they got a Nathan goal that came at the 59th minute.
That's right.
So it did come in that first quarter hour and ended up proving to be the game winner against RGV in their last match back on August the 8th. But 5 goals against now in that first quarter hour coming out of the locker room as Nathan, also another guy who probably hasn't gotten the ball enough here tonight as well, too, considering his run of form as of late.
If you think about how Nathan has been getting his goals, he will make the channel runs between defenders, breaking in behind defenses, and looking for a teammate to play that pass in behind the defense. And that has been his strength and where he's the most dangerous. We haven't seen those runs tonight. And I would almost encourage him that, all right, if you're going to be offsides a few times, that's okay, but at least you're testing their back line and making those runs and making sure your teammates know that you're looking to make that run. That's where you want the ball. And I just think he's kind of played in between his strength and stayed connected with the team, but not playing to where he can really be dangerous and effective.
Now, the entire game now changes complexion-wise, especially when you think about who Locomotive still has on the bench tonight. As Marcus Epps, a little too heavy trying to get forward, concedes the ball, but you're talking about Diego Luna is on the bench for Locomotive, Josué and Gomez on the bench as well. They've got players, weapons, as we said in the first half, at every position that can come on and make a difference.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I would be addressing with giving up that goal to El Paso is when that ball came across. Well, let's see this finish here.
Gallegos, the inside, can't power that one through.
When that ball came across and Velasquez went up and we were flat-footed, when an opponent goes up and you don't go up, the opponent is showing that they have a greater desire than you to get to that ball. When both players go up, there's equal desire, and hopefully we get to it first. But, when you're in this situation where you're second to last in your conference and you're beginning this 7-game swing and you're playing at home, you have got to have a greater desire than what El Paso brings into the park or what any of these other teams are going to bring in to this stretch of 7 games. And if you don't, moment by moment, show a greater desire, then opponents are going to take advantage of that.
San Antonio has got Justin Dillon on the bench tonight, just kind of looking at their potential options in the second half. Shandon Hopiau, Leo Torres. I mean, you've got certainly capable subs that can come in and make an impact in the game. But the guys that are probably going to find the go-ahead goal, they're on the pitch right now for you.
Right, and you need the go-ahead goal. Like I said, if you're in second to last place in your conference, and knowing that 3 points potentially can put you right up in the playoff picture, you have got to go for a win. You cannot, at this point in the season, be playing and be satisfied with a point.
It was well defended after Velasquez found a little bit of space inside the 18-yard box. It's Fox. Pressure coming and concedes. Epps, well done. Releasing it to Nathan, who finally gets some daylight here. Nathan, able to open up a little bit here, but he's without any support there on that right flank.
Yeah, I kind of blame his teammates. I mean, when a player breaks like that, everyone's got to break. He's got to make sure that he's got plenty of help down there in the case that he can't finish the play. And he was just kind of left alone to figure it out for himself and was not able to retain possession. But the run he made is what we're talking about. That's what we have been used to seeing out of Nathan, is that big diagonal, the channel, hitting the channels, and getting the ball into space where he can use his pace and become dangerous in that each attack when we see that run.
They call the handball there for the reset for Locomotive. As we're leveled at 1 here, hitting the 1 hour mark at Toyota Field. Epps in the 32nd minute opening the scoring for San Antonio. And here early in the second half, Sebastian Velasquez in the 54th minute, equalizing with his second goal of the season. Only the second set-piece goal that SAFC has conceded this year.
And you know, Dan, I mean, we've talked quite a bit about Dylan Mares, and it's easy for me to talk about him because he used to play for me. But one of the reasons we are seeing Solignac not get service is because, remember, he's playing the deep number 9 at forward, and he's playing against 3 center backs. So the numerical advantage.
Well done by Epps there. Go ahead, Coach.
The numerical advantage that their center backs have against Solignac is so superior that Solignac has no space. And the problem in the experiment with Dylan Mares playing underneath is that Dylan is not one to make a run past Solignac, which would pull a defender off of him. He's always playing underneath him, so Solignac is always stacked up against 2-3 hard bodies that are willing to get in a wrestling match with him. So I think one of the things that El Paso needs to look at is really that the best role for Dylan, or do we need a different type of player that's going to help make runs beyond where Solignac is playing to free him up to become more dangerous?
Well, that would be Josue Aaron Gomez. Certainly could fit the role there. If you're just thinking about, well, if you take Dylan Mares out, the natural sub could be Diego Luna as well, too.
Right, Luna could come in at the top of the diamond, and actually, if you want the firepower to stay out there, Dylan, his natural position, and I know this because he played this role for me because we played a diamond in 2012 with Indy 11, but it's on the left side of the diamond, and he attacks out of that position. He did the same thing for Miami FC. So he can play in another spot to add to their attack if they want to bring a different player like Luna in or a different forward.
Maka King. Maris switching over here to Fox. Maris, King, with pressure from SAFC. Fox back on the ball. Richie Ryan and Solignac pushing it out wide here for Dylan Maris. You're too much space on the field. That's what you don't want El Paso to have. The opportunity to weave the ball into those channels. Good anticipation there from Abu to come up with the steal.
That's unlucky that pass got picked off. It really would have opened things up. Gallegos had a lot of space on the left side there if that ball had gotten through. But this is what we're talking about in passing accuracy. The ability to win a ball and get that next pass completed is certainly something that San Antonio's got to get better at. There's
Diego Luna as he's getting set. Looks like Rebellon is going to come out, so they're going to go more attack heavy here on the left side, which, frankly, has not been utilized very much tonight by El Paso. And the Rebellon did have a good look early in the second half, but Luna's going to really open things up for Locomotive on the left side here.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, he's such a young player. I mean, we talk about our own Gallegos being 19. This kid's 17 years old, and he plays like a mature professional out there.
5 goals for the youngster. Hails from Sunnyvale, California, played at the Barcelona Residency Academy in Arizona. Really very under the radar signing in USL prior to the start of the 2021 campaign. Rebellon, nice switch over here, setting up. Ross giving it a go. You can see the fatigue starting to wear on San Antonio here as this match rolls along.
We saw it earlier on that Nathan run, where Nathan is penetrating and has space to run into, and almost none of the San Antonio players were following to support him, and that's a fatigue factor coming in, is not willing to use the legs because you're not sure how much you got left in your tank. And they're going to have to find something through subs or otherwise a second win, or, as I said, reach deep down and show you've got a greater desire and let that drive your legs to keep performing.
There's Tainer down on the field. He'll get some attention. Well, on Saturday, September the 4th at 7:30, San Antonio FC will take on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds for the first time. Bob Lilly's club coming to town. We've never seen them in 6 years. You can join us for Military Appreciation Night presented by Toyota as we honor the military. For more information, go to sanantoniofc.com. Talk about a guy who has really done a lot for U.S. soccer. 25 years as a head coach, Bob Lilly, and I mean, he has completely changed the fortunes of Pittsburgh Riverhounds since joining them 4 years ago from Rochester.
You know, I met him in 1979. we did a soccer camp in Pennsylvania together. So I've known Bob, and when I coached Syracuse, his younger brother, Sean Lilly, played for me at Syracuse. So I look forward to seeing him and reuniting. But Bob has a very clear history of being the best defensive coach in this league. And so they'll make it very tough, even as the visiting team on San Antonio that night, no question.
Sam Gleadle's getting instructions as he gets set to come into the match. Tainer starting to walk off here, and Tainer's going to come off, and Gleadle will come on. So in the second substitute window, Gleadle, well, it's really the first substitute window again because the halftime substitute doesn't count as a window. So Gleadle will come on, second substitute for SAFC as Tainer finishes after 66 minutes in his second SAFC debut.
Gleadle's a great sub, great engine. What we need right now are some fresh legs willing to do the work.
And again, things certainly have gotten a lot more interesting after Velasquez levels early in the second half. Both sides, but again, particularly SAFC. How fresh are they? Fresh to say that they haven't used a lot of their legs in the last 20 days, but that can also, to your point, not be so beneficial at times either.
Well, and you have this player Luna come on. He's so quick. If I'm having a play against him and I'm, in the 66th minute, feeling this fatigue, you just don't catch a guy like that. He's just too difficult to stay with because he's so quick and active.
El Paso seizing more control of the possession, 59% now here through the first 67 minutes. An opportunity on a restart for San Antonio, though.
Well, Dan, and this result is so important because tonight Austin plays Colorado, two teams that are right in front of us in the standings. You've got New Mexico playing at Phoenix. Very tough game for them to win there, but you've got a chance to move up the ladder, and so you got to reach down deep and put your commitment, your stamp on this game and in everything you do.
It's all Colorado tonight here as Epps inside the box. Trying to make the turn, he does. Epps puts it across. He had Nathan there. Nathan just missing outstretched, but what a beautiful setup from Marcus Epps.
Look at this, 4 players on Luna. That's one of those moments he did a pretty good job, but this is where his youth shows up at moments like that where he takes on 4 players rather than cutting the ball into a space where you can find your teammate and let's just play out of it with good possession.
Boy, SAFC nearly had a second one. Look at this effort from Marcus Epps.
So close. Great setup by Epps.
Nathan just a little outstretched on his backside, couldn't bring it down.
But this again, it comes down to what do you have in your legs. You see Epps make a move like that, get that deep in the box. Other players, not just Nathan, have got to be crashing and believing that another goal is possible off that.
I'd mentioned before Colorado Springs, before that setup by Epps, they're all over Austin. It's 3-1 in the second half tonight there at Widener Field in Colorado Springs.
Well, that can be a good result for us if Colorado takes the night. Keep Austin down. Phoenix, probably a very good opportunity to beat New Mexico, keep them down. And if we can come out with something tonight, then the standings look a lot different.
Velasquez trying to slip it there to Solignac. Paso wanted a handball. We play on. Ryan rolls over here to Lucho Solignac. Seemed to be overly prepared for it as it landed at his left boot. And Ross will settle things down. New Mexico coach is on a very odd run of form. 5 consecutive draws, which is the most in USL in 3 seasons.
I think Ted Lasso has 7. I think in the last episode, his team in the locker room was celebrating because they lost. They broke the tie streak.
Well, and that's usually how those streaks tend to end, in losses. In fact, Orlando City B, we should say, is the last team that had as many as 6 consecutive draws and came away with a win. As a beautiful setup, Cardoni is able to get to the ball first.
Well, and this is what we were talking about earlier, how Rio Grande Valley is in a little bit of a funk in the middle of the season where they're out of form. And they will probably regain form down the stretch, which puts them playing very well come playoff time. New Mexico has not really had a peak this season. The fact that they've gone 5 consecutive games without losing, even though that's not really where you want your results to fall, but you're not losing, and that could be building up the confidence and a game plan that all it takes is that first game to fall into the win column, and now you've got a team that might be building momentum towards the final stretch. So I wouldn't count New Mexico out. They've just had a rough first half of the year, and maybe the best of their game is going to show up in the second half.
So here's Josue Aaron Gomez for Dylan Maris, which is what we predicted would probably happen, and Matt Boehner will come on here for El Paso as well, too. As Justin Dillon gets set to come on.
And Dillon
looks
played
like
well.
For Nathan.
He had 2 or 3 shots that were towards frame, but again, I think they're going through a little bit of experimenting with whether he can play that second forward role or whether really he needs to stay as a part of the midfield. So they've got decisions and an evaluation to determine what's their next step with him.
So Boehner is on for Fox. Josue Aaron Gomez is on for Dylan Maris. As Boehner will get his first touch here, and Dillon on for Nathan. As we come into the minutes approaching the final quarter hour, Gallegos. That's a step here, edge of the box, Gallegos. Return back to Gleadle. Gallegos forcing that ball through. It's Mishak Jerome there to pick it up. El Paso, look out here on the counter as they try to open things up. Luna, left side, overlapping Boehner there on the wing. Luna releasing it to Salignac, will turn.
Good pass by Luna.
And he
Good
looks
pass
for
by
Josue Aaron
Salignac.
Gomez. And Cardone is there for the save.
Some very good penetrating passes, consecutive passes by El Paso. I think the substitution of Dylan for Nathan is an interesting one because stylistically they're so different. Dylan's kind of this big target player and really makes one slashing run, which is from the inside to his left. And the players have found that run before, and he's had success getting a goal from there. Whereas Nathan is all over the place, making runs left, runs right, much more active player than Dylan, who plays, like I said, more of a target. So we'll see if the team can adapt to the difference of the style of the forwards that are the forward that's now in the game and try and find that winning goal out of that.
Yuma over to Luna. Challenge to Gomez. Luna goes to ground as well. San Antonio comes away with the ball. Abu. Opening up a little bit here now for San Antonio with Epps, who's been exceptional tonight. Here's Dylan trying to make that slashing run.
Yeah, I think some of the impetus we're seeing into the attack is being driven by Abu. He is stepping up, winning a ball, taking his first touch forward, making the forward pass to get the midfielders in attacking positions. He's really added quite a bit in the last 10 minutes or so.
Velasquez. Diego Luna running on Connor Maloney. Back to Josue Aaron Gomez. Oh, Luna. He thought Velasquez was going to step forward for that. That turns into a good-looking counter for San Antonio. If Gallegos can release it, cannot. Abu, though, with a good play, keeping the ball in possession. That allows Gleedle to get forward here on the left flank. There's Gallegos with him on that left side. Doesn't have much, though, to work with, and not a lot of runners into the box either.
No, it's you only really had Dylan in there, and Gallegos has got to realize once he draws more than one play.
He gets Dylan. Oh, what a great save there from Logan Ketterer.
That's that run we just talked about is coming from the inside outside, and Gallegos has played that pass to him before, so it's almost like a set piece through the flow of play that they recognize within themselves that Dylan likes that run, and this is the kind of ball we have to play him, and very close to a go-ahead goal there.
Yeah, we'll get an opportunity to reset here with the San Antonio player on the ground.
It looks like cramps.
It's Lindley, I believe, again.
And again, as we talked about going into, with 25 minutes left, what are the legs going to feel like after 2 weeks without a game, a warm night like this, and losing, like you said, you look at the players' faces, they're losing fluids very quickly tonight. The dehydration kicks in and the cramps begin.
And it's going to be a real quick recovery, too, because SAFC, although home, will have to turn around and play Wednesday night against Real Monarchs SLC. That's a makeup of a game that was supposed to be last Saturday night. And then you'll continue next Saturday night against those Pittsburgh Riverhounds that we were talking about before. So even though these matches all coming up at home, because of the lack of recovery time, they're all going to be tough matches. And this one is really, I think, yes, it's your freshest that you've been, but it's a tough one to start out with because of the situation and the adversity you're coming back from and just the general conditions out on the pitch tonight.
Well, keeping the roster fit and healthy is so much a big part of coaching. You're a leg manager, and I look at PC getting back on the park tonight and them not pushing him beyond the 45 minutes. You'd love to have him out there, but knowing that he's going to be ready for 65 minutes in the next game and 90 minutes by that next Saturday. Managing guys this way, this roster could get stronger and stronger as they get sharper and more game minutes under their belt.
Final quarter hour, level at 1. SAFC's had a couple of moments in the second half. Epps is crossed just behind Nathan, and then just a moment ago, Justin Dillon at the doorstep, stopped by Logan Ketterer. Now's the turn there by Josue Aaron Gomez. And Gleedle does a nice job to brush him off. It's like me, he might have turned a hamstring perhaps too. Gallegos getting forward. Lindley. Gleedle is definitely limping over there.
Yeah.
He'll get possession and he'll turn it out. I think, Coach, he tried to turn with Josue Aaron Gomez, and I think he might have pulled a hamstring perhaps.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's not a cramp situation. That's a muscle pull.
He can tell, too, right there. We watch that turn. Just very, there where he planted. Awkwardly trying to run there with Gomez, and you could see immediately as he planted on that right foot, exactly. He knew it.
Yeah. That's tough because those are the kind of injuries that can take a couple of months to get over. I mean, those are not a one-week deal. They take time to heal, and then once it's healed, once the soreness is gone, you've got to get refit, and then once you're refit and permission to play, you got to get sharp again. So, we may not see what he can bring to the game until right at the end of the season. So
it's going to bring on Shandon Hopiau here, who has not seen a ton of game action. This would only be his 7th appearance. It's another tough blow, though, for San Antonio. And you just think about a guy as durable as Sam Gleedle, who's played just about every single minute this year.
Yeah.
Tonight was the first time he doesn't start. He gets in as a second-half substitute, and just freak circumstance in his first 10 minutes coming on.
Yeah.
Looks like he pulls a hamstring and will head off here.
Well, and you don't know. I mean, I didn't observe him warming up extensively, and if you have a player that he goes in for that needs to come out and maybe he didn't have the full warm-up, these kind of things can play into a quick injury like that. So it's unlucky for him, and I was just making the comment about how this roster is going to get healthier and sharper and build back up with guys like PC, but then you lose a guy like Gleedle, and it's really the story of the whole season.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's you think about just the adversity, and continues to add up for San Antonio, and yet still right in the thick of it. And they walk out of here with points tonight against El Paso as Josue Aaron Gomez gets the touch and gets forward here with Velasquez, gives it a go. Big save from Cardoni. And Luna will pick up the rebound here. San Antonio trying to get back numbers behind the ball. Luna the cross, and Cardoni picks it up.
Well, we've mentioned before as we were studying the standings in the pregame is that, San Antonio has 2 games in hand. Now that has to do with the COVID and the games being rescheduled. But 2 games in hand, that's potentially a six-point swing. So we can get right back in it, but it's about results. You got to get the results.
And here was the run. Gomez. That's a huge save by Cardoni. And Lemma was down momentarily after Cardoni came up with the ball there. As you see Lemma go to ground.
I mean, someone could get the goal to win it, and it may just come not from a great tactical play. It may be just a player that's physically not able to handle that moment because of fatigue.
Good anticipation from Lindley. Well, San Antonio builds up here as they'll give Gallegos the advantage opportunity off the foul. And a set piece here for San Antonio.
You could even see Gallegos stretching his both calves. Again, I think a number of players are having small issues there.
You can see over there in the far corner, that's Sam Gleedle being stretchered off there by the training staff.
That's sad. Having a great season, but like I said, hamstring injuries like that, it can take months to come back from.
Epps to the back post. Lands as Hopiao will go over and chase it. Abu. Jasser Kamiri. That's a tough ball to handle, but Ketterer was able to square his body. That ball, a little mustard on it coming off the pitch there from Kamiri.
Kamiri looked like a striker there because his first touch opened his shooting opportunity up. You know, he didn't kill the ball and have to reset it. It was that quick touch to the inside and hit the shot. And those are striker instincts right there. So great stuff out of a center back.
There's Boehner, another center back, as he gets forward, and his final touch is Aaron, although he'll get a friendly bounce back. And Velasquez circling back on the ball. See Matt Boehner, a center back, driving the play there for Locomotive here. That's going to be a foul on Marcus Epps.
I'll tell you, no player on the park keeps the ball, maybe Gallegos, keeps the ball as tight to his feet in the dribble under pressure as Velasquez. He's so quick to cut and cut away from the pressure. You reach in on the left, he's cutting right. Reach in on the right, he's cutting left. Outstanding. And Gallegos has that quality as well.
Velasquez returning to Yuma. Mishak Jerome. Back to Ketterer. Good pressure here for San Antonio. Going to let El Paso dictate things here the rest of the way.
This is showing a greater desire than El Paso. And you think about it, is El Paso has the most points of any team in the entire league. They don't need 3 tonight. They can come in here, be happy with 1, and they keep building their position in at the top of the standings. But for San Antonio, we need 3. We need 3.
Velasquez. And that'll be a corner for San Antonio FC. Coach, you said you watched Ted Lasso. If you're great Nate here in the last 5 minutes, do you park the bus? Did you see the most recent episode?
I did. Park the bus. I think El Paso, the way they play, kind of sitting in their own half, they kind of play like a bus. And then they look to break and attack you in different ways. But again, San Antonio, I don't think you sit on 1 point. You try and win the 3 points right at the end here.
Courtney Ford heading that one out of danger. Abu able to keep it in play, and he'll play it off defender Maka King over there.
Now here's your quiz tonight, Dan. Has there ever been a real Ted Lasso in sports where a coach from a completely different sport has to coach a sport that they know very little or anything about? We'll have to ask fans to join us in that search.
As Ketterer comes away with it, well, if they put me as a coach in for anything, that would be the equivalent probably.
You do a great job, Dan.
Or if they let me be the analyst, I guess, and we switch roles. There you go. Here's Luna coming up the touchline now as he'll run on Courtney Ford. So crafty, gets it back, cutting, looking for Salignac, a little bit over his head. He was offside anyway.
Man, that Luna, he's got moves. The way he jinked and jived in and out of there, little flicks and 1-2s, stopping on a dime to freeze the defender.
Final substitutes for El Paso coming on. Velasquez will come off. Chapa Herrera is on, and so too will be Leandro Cardijo. He'll take out Luis Salignac here for the final few minutes plus whatever added time, which may have a more so because of the injuries here for SAFC in the second half. Velasquez leveling this one early in the second half, hoping to secure at least a point for El Paso to continue their unbeaten run. But again, more weapons coming onto the park in Chapa Herrera, the El Paso native, and Leandro Cardijo, the longtime Brazilian national. Appeared in almost 300 matches in his pro career.
So you're talking about extra time. I mean, obviously the injuries going down are going to add some minutes to that, but also both teams have pretty much used their maximum substitutions, which take time and add to that extra time. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a good 5 minutes added on top of the 3 we have left here.
Abu Gave it a go, was blocked out, and it's Luna getting it ahead. Carrijo, first touch. Too heavy with that one, conceding to Connor Maloney. Coming to the outside, and again, Epps has had good desire tonight. He's going to win a throw for San Antonio.
Yeah, Epps is a real gamer. He wants to win. He plays to win.
Abu. That'll be a corner for San Antonio as it's off Chapa Herrera. It's only the second corner of the night for SAFC.
Well, you know, I think a lot of that has to do with we don't go down the wings. We don't go to the end line to cross a ball. We're cutting in, playing a more direct, channeling the game through the central areas of the box. So you're not going to get as many corners along the way versus a team that has natural wingers that want to go down and cross the ball. Those are the kind of players and style of play that end up with numerous crosses during the match, or corners during the match.
Courtney Ford and Jasser Kamiri, the two center backs there trying to get some space. Lindley, so good on these set pieces. Epps with a little flick on just off the woodwork.
That's one they've worked on. Almost pulled it off. Well done.
Caught Logan Ketterer up by surprise. Wasn't expecting that.
That was a great redirect by Epps.
Epps nearly had a magical moment late in this match. Luna winning the ball. No, he did not. Luna appeared to win the ball cleanly, and he's called for the foul. Hopiau concedes on the run. Coach, only 3 minutes added time here in the second half.
That's surprising.
Carrijo.
But a goal only needs a second to score, so use those 3 minutes wisely and try to create 2 or 3 more chances that give you a bite at it.
El Paso seems more content to park the bus here in the second half.
I would say so. They're just not as desperate.
They get an opportunity. Gomez trying to slip one through. Kamiri reaching out. Boy, he released that well out to Epps, although Herrera comes back and Yuma.
Look at El Paso, great playing the little combinations in and out to beat the pressure. Switch the play, find the open side of the park.
Epps, he has hard to know how much he's got left in the tank at this point.
He's worked hard tonight. Made a lot of dynamic runs, and that takes it out of you.
Again, SAFC. This will be a hard-earned point. But at the same time, you got to turn around and play Wednesday night against the youthful legs of Real Monarchs SLC, who feature a lot of academy players, obviously, with a season for them that right now looks to be headed towards another DNQ in terms of playoff qualification.
Well, I have to say, you know, we've talked all night about this 7-game swing of the first 3 at home, the next 4 on the road, East Coast, West Coast, big distances. To come away against the best team tonight with a point, and we talk about building momentum, it can still be the first domino falling in a positive direction. And so feel good about getting the point and against the best team in the league.
Maybe 3. Dillon at the death, puts it in! Justin Dillon, he's done it! SAFC! Moments away from taking all 3!
Just brilliant. What an exciting finish.
The goal of the season for San Antonio FC is Justin Dillon from the far corner. And he scores his 4th of the season at the death, and San Antonio ahead by 1.
there. Look at that. I mean, he cut through 3-4 defenders and released that shot right at the right moment, catching the keeper. Just a brilliant individual effort. That didn't come from a final pass or help from a teammate. That was just a great individual effort.
San Antonio FC is seconds away from snapping El Paso Locomotive's 10-match unbeaten streak. When it looked like San Antonio was just hanging on for dear life. Coach, you said it only takes 1 second to put it in, and man, did Justin Dillon take advantage of that one opportunity.
Well, and like I said, often goals are scored with a great final pass or a cross. That individual effort by Dillon was such a special effort. Really just weaving through 4 defenders and releasing that shot.
San Antonio FC comes away with all 3 points tonight. Or have they not just yet? Not just yet.
But if this result holds, I mean, what a great start to this 7 games we've been talking about. Against the top team in the league. What a confidence builder for our guys.
And now they have taken all 3 points, 20 days off. It's the win of the season for Alan Marcina and company as they stymie the best team in USL Championship at the death. Justin Dillon with a game winner, and San Antonio FC is a victor tonight, 2-1.
Yeah, haven't seen a more exciting finish the entire season or even the season before. Just a brilliant goal by Dillon. And a big confidence boost for him. And now you got a guy that you can go and bring into the game, and everyone's going to get excited next game when they see him, knowing that it was a miracle goal tonight.
Take a look at it one more time. Man of the match, Justin Dillon. Do so much work here just to create some space, weaving his way through 4 defenders before he puts it into the corner of the net and in. Not much left in the tank tonight for SAFC, but they had just enough at the finish to come away with all 3 points this evening.
Well, we talked about the goal we gave up where we got caught flat-footed, and we talk about desire. Who's got the greater desire? I look at the lack of effort in defending Dillon on that with 4 or 5 guys around him, and a very poor effort by El Paso, but a greater desire by Dillon to win the game.
Now afterwards, the 2 clubs have to be separated by their coaches. Alan Marcina running to every referee, pointing, it looks like, at Yuma Manslavis as perhaps the instigator of everything here. This is something of a sour end to what was a magical evening.
Yeah, the pride is too big by El Paso, and they feel burned, but they burn themselves, Very poor defending against Dillon. Like you said, he basically ran through 4 or 5 players to get that goal, so don't spill your frustration towards us. Take it to your locker room and deal with it there.
Well, looks like that will be the end of this round tonight, but one more between these clubs in El Paso coming up in October. But tonight belongs to San Antonio FC. Seems well-deserved after what they went through over the last 20 days. They come away with a 2-1 win tonight over El Paso Locomotive as Marcus Epps and Justin Dillon at the death secure all 3 points for San Antonio. They're back at it Wednesday night against Real Monarchs SLC. We'll have it for you 7:30 here on Bally Sports. Now, for the coach, Tim Hankinson, Hayden Partain, and our entire crew, I'm Dan Weiss saying so long. This has been a presentation of Spurs Sports and Entertainment and the USL Championship. So long, everybody.
Cast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.